All right, let's jump right into it. We hear these words all the time after a fight or an accident, right? Words like hurt or assault. But in the eyes of the law, not all injuries are created equal. Today, we're going to draw a really clear line between two legal concepts that are often confused: hurt and the much, much more serious grievous hurt. Okay, to really get why this matters, let's start with a scenario. Just picture this. Things get heated, someone shoves someone else, they fall, and you hear that awful snapping sound, a broken wrist. Now, it obviously hurts, no question about that. But is it legally grievous? The answer? Well, it's probably not what you think, and it tells you everything about how the law looks at physical harm.
So, to figure out our broken wrist puzzle, we've got to start with the basics. First things first, let's break down what the law even means when it says simple hurt.
Now, this definition is actually way broader than it sounds. Bodily pain is pretty obvious, a punch, a slap, that kind of thing. But look closer. It also says disease and infirmity. That last word, infirmity, just means making someone weak or sick. So hurt is this big umbrella term that covers a whole bunch of temporary physical issues. It's the baseline.
But what happens when an injury is more than just a bruise or some pain that goes away? Well, that's when you cross a really important legal line. The stakes get a whole lot higher because now we're talking about grievous hurt.
And here's the most important thing to get. Grievous isn't just a feeling. It's not about how much somebody says it hurts. Nope. The law has a very specific, very objective checklist. If the injury is on that list, it's grievous hurt. If it's not, it isn't. It's really that black and white.
And you can immediately see the jump in how serious this is. We've gone from just general bodily pain to really specific, life-changing stuff. Things that put your life in danger, cause extreme pain for a long time, or leave permanent damage. This is a whole different ballgame, and the law treats it that way. So, what's on this special checklist? The law gets incredibly specific here. We're talking about things like permanently losing your sight, or permanent damage to your face, or any injury at all that could kill you. And hey, look at that last one. Fracture or dislocation of a bone or tooth. Keep that one in your back pocket. This list right here is the key.
Okay, we know what hurt is, and we've seen the official checklist for grievous hurt. So I think it's time we put the pieces together and go back to that argument.
So let's circle back that broken wrist. Thinking about that checklist we just looked at, what do you think? Is it just simple hurt, or did it cross the line into something more serious? The answer is sitting right there in that list.
And here it is, the big reveal. A broken wrist is, medically speaking, a fracture. And what was one of the items on that grievous hurt checklist? Bingo, fracture or dislocation of a bone. So in the eyes of the law, that shove wasn't just simple hurt, it was grievous hurt. It's the specific result, the broken bone, that bumps it up to the next level.
So, okay, we solved the puzzle, but you might be wondering, why does this even matter? Why have these two different categories? Well, the answer changes everything, because it's all about the consequences.
Yeah, this is not just lawyers playing with words. The difference between a charge of hurt and a charge of grievous hurt can completely change the path of a case and, honestly, someone's entire life. Let's see what that looks like in the real world. First up, a charge for simple hurt. Now, this can change depending on where you are, but for something like this, a conviction could mean a maximum penalty of, say, 1 year in prison. That's serious, no doubt. But now, look what happens with a charge of grievous hurt for that exact same broken wrist. The potential maximum sentence can just explode. Suddenly, we could be talking 7 years. The difference is absolutely massive, and it all comes down to how that one injury is defined by the law. So the bottom line is pretty clear. It's the specific nature of the injury that decides how serious the charge is going to be. Now, of course, other things like intent, did you mean to do it, are a huge part of the final verdict. But the starting point, the foundation for the whole case, is that legal checklist. It's the roadmap. When you boil it all down, it really comes back to this one powerful idea. The law isn't really trying to measure pain. It's trying to measure irreversible impact. It's making a distinction between something that's a temporary problem and something that changes a life forever. And the penalties reflect just how big that difference is. And that leaves us with a really fascinating thought to end on. This whole legal idea was built for a world of physical injuries. But we all know that today, harm can happen in so many other ways. So you have to wonder,
Could a devastating cyber attack that just ruins a person's life, or a long campaign of psychological abuse, ever be considered grievous in the eyes of the law? That's a question our legal system might have to answer very, very soon.